Ping have kindly sent me through their new G430 irons. I've got 3 irons here to test, the 5, the 7 and the Wedge. I'm going to give you some information on what Ping are telling us about these clubs. I'm going to give you my thoughts on how they look and perform for me, and I'm going to back that up with some numbers. So let's get into this video. We're going to start with the 7 iron, and looking down at this club from previous models, it just looks a little bit shinier. And we've got that hydro pearl finish that you're going to see on previous models, which allows us to reduce that water off the face, getting it off the face a little bit quicker, maintaining spin numbers, getting more control. But the outside of this is looking definitely a lot shinier than previous models. Now, I've seen that in their G430 driver, fairway and hybrid as well. And if you haven't seen those videos, check those out. But I've seen that in those models coming from more of a matte finish into more of a sort of glossier type of finish, still in a matte sort of look, but that is looking very similar when I come into the iron. And the word that jumps into my mind is kind of like a satin finish in this look. But the big story when it comes to the G430 irons is this Pure Flex technology in the back, saying that we've got a 3% thinner club face, making that club face maybe even more flexible than previous models, giving us 7 different flex zones, which all I can kind of take from that is that it's trying to improve my consistency across the face. So having different points where I've got different flex positions across the face is going to enable me to keep my ball speed up when I get those kind of off-centered strikes. But I feel like I've still got control with this club. It doesn't feel too flexy off the face, which I've sort of felt in previous models or even other manufacturers. I'm feeling quite a solid feel, which is very similar to what I get out of, let's say, a set of blades or maybe a sort of a slight cavity back iron. I'm definitely feeling quite a solid feel off the face, which for lots of players, that's actually quite a good feel. But not struggling with the height, definitely getting that ball up in the air, which is what this club is ideally there to try and help me do. And we'll look at the numbers in just a moment, but to me, the pitching wedge is a really important club when you're kind of testing out clubs, and having the right look in a pitching wedge to me is actually really, really important. And I've said it before when I tested out the 425 irons, was that I love the shape of what they've done with this wedge. In other manufacturers, other models, you're kind of getting quite a chunky looking pitching wedge. Well, they've kind of taken a bit of the blend into the sand wedges and the sort of specialist wedges. They've got more of a rounder kind of look when you look down at this G430 pitching wedge. Definitely something that I think will get into the eye of a lot of players and actually kind of like the look of it. Really, really important club for you to go out and test if you're ever looking at different irons. The other thing as well that we've got to think about is this little streak of white in the bottom groove of this club. Again, I've said it so many times with Ping irons. I love the fact that it enables me to be able to line that face up to the ball, to target line, just that little bit easier. Again, we've talked about moving away in wedges that you would maybe take that line out because you're trying to open and close the face. But for shots with normal irons, that face there squared up to the target, definitely a good thing in my book. And then, like a lot of models, it's only when you move up into kind of like the longer clubs, 6 irons, 5 irons, 4 irons, you start to get the sense of what does this club feel like when you look down with the offset side of it. For someone like me who doesn't like too much offset, this one, it kind of has quite a bit of offset in there, but only to be kind of expected with this type of club. But for a lot of players, that's going to be quite a nice look. And if we do look at the top line of this club, it is a thick top line. It's kind of what you would expect, but Ping have tried to maneuver that slightly by just maybe taking off the back edge of it, just to give it a kind of thinner feel when you look down at it, playing around with maybe some light and colors. And then if you look at the back edge, remember, quite a thick sole on this set. So we're going to see that when we look down, and certainly when you move into the 5 irons, the longer clubs, you're going to start to just catch the edge of it as you look down. Again, for lots of players that may be moving into a set of irons like this, that's going to give you the confidence to get that ball up in the air, a little bit of forgiveness when you're looking down at that golf ball. Numbers then, pitching wedge. Average ball speed off the face, 103 mile an hour, 104 mile an hour. Launching at 23 degrees, 23.6, spinning it at 7,800, which is fractionally low. I'd like to see that spin maybe just a little bit higher, but then loft-wise, we've got 41 degrees of loft in this pitching wedge, so we just have to be mindful that it is closer to maybe like a 9 iron, so it's going to spin a little bit lower. If we then look at the peak height, we've got an average height of 32 yards high and an average carry of 134, so pretty good numbers from there, maybe carrying about 5 yards longer than my normal pitching wedge from my set. If we then look at the 7 iron, 122, 123 nearly ball speed off the club face. If we then look at the launch, 18.2, I'm always looking around sort of 18 or 19, so that's pretty much right in my window. Spin, 5,238 on a spin, so quite low. Again, remember the loft is only 29 degrees of loft, so it's closer to a 6 iron, and that number then would be there or thereabouts. Peaking out 35 yards high, but look, 174 from the carry. I mean, that is definitely my kind of like 6 iron. Descent angle though, 48 degrees coming in. So even though I'm, getting a little bit low in the spin, I've got a good descent angle coming in, which is going to allow that ball to sort of drop and stop quickly. 5 iron, ball speed 130 mile an hour off the club face on an average, launching at 15. Spin around 4,000 revs, peaking out 33 yards high and an average carry of 196. So I would say if you looked at kind of 174 to 196, there's a nice gap there moving into that 5 iron. And I've got to say, consistency from that 5 iron, I was very impressed. For long irons, people see lots of drop-offs, miss hits, definitely not seeing a great deal of drop-offs when it comes to that 5 iron, so very, very impressed. So to summarize, for me, a beautiful looking iron. It's a game improvement iron, so it's going to look on the bigger side, but for lots of players out there that want confidence, that want forgiveness, this club is going to really, really work for you, and definitely one that I would suggest going to test or getting a fitting booked in for. But I'd like to hear what you think about these clubs. Are they something that you'd be interested in going out and testing for yourself? Are they the type of iron that would work well for your game? I'd like to hear down in the comments. And don't forget, if you are new to our channel, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all again very soon.